I'm having a hard time coming up with topics, so let's go out there and glaze the Montreal Canadiens and their GM Kent Hughes. Yeah, we are straight up just going to make a video glazing the guy because he deserves it. It comes to us via the form of Puck Empire on Instagram. Now, I'm sure some of y'all have seen Puck Empire in the past. They have some very intriguing hockey updates. They talk about all the news. They go over some really interesting extra stuff in the hockey world. And recently, they have been posting their GM rankings, where they take a look at each of the NHL GMs and they rank them. Wow. Surprise, surprise. This was posted a few days ago. It was the 8th overall ranking, Bill Armstrong of the Utah Mammoth, and there's a really big dive as to everything that's gone down. Lots to dive into for Utah fans. But I wanted to focus on the 7th overall name, because earlier this week, it was talked about on Puck Empire's Instagram how Kent Hughes is, in their opinion, the 7th best GM based on these GMs' tenures with their current team. Now, I'm accessing the Instagram page via an article on HabsFanatics.com because the HabsFanatics.com piece kind of articulates what's talked about here too. But let's dive into this here, shall we? Continuing on with our GM rankings, we have Kent Hughes of the Montreal Canadiens at number 7. Honestly, the Canadiens were turning into quite a joke by the end of the Bergevin era. They weren't that good, they weren't terrible enough to rebuild though. Kent Hughes came in, brought in a new culture, and hope in the franchise, and now there's pride in the logo again. Trade-wise, he's been pretty damn good. Not perfect. You can look to the botched Doc trade and the New Hook trade, which hasn't been bad, but wouldn't say it has panned out good either for that. However, some of his best asset management has been amazing. This is where we get into what is Kent Hughes' best trade as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. It's labeled out right here. Montreal acquires Sean Monahan and a 2025 first for nothing from Calgary. This trade, right here, might have just been the turning point for the franchise when you look at Kent Hughes' holistic tenure as the Habs GM. This trade, if we go over to Puckpedia.com, took place on August 18th, 2022. We are almost approaching the 3-year anniversary of this trade, and it gets better every single year. The Montreal Canadiens acquired Monahan and a conditional 2025 first from Calgary for nothing. Well, for future considerations, but everybody knows at this stage of the NHL's timeline, future considerations is just euphemism for nothing. Now, sure, there was a time in the NHL's history where future considerations actually did result in something, whether that be cash or the rights to draft players or take players off of teams, but that's not the world we live in anymore. The Calgary Flames were interested in getting rid of Sean Monahan and his $6.375 million cap hit, that in which was entering the final year of the deal and was expiring in 2023. He had 23 points in 65 games played the season he got traded, and the Calgary Flames were already in this strange spot. They lost out on some of their top-tier superstars, Monahan was no longer good, he was making a lot of money, and the Flames were like, okay, screw this, we're just going to trade him away. Here's a first-round pick, Kent Hughes. Take Monahan, take a first. We don't need anything. We just got to get this guy off the squad. And the condition went as follows. As of April 29th, 2025, if both Calgary's 2025 first and Florida's 2025 first are not in the top 10, Montreal receives the earlier of the two picks. If Calgary's 2025 first is top 10, Montreal receives Florida's 2025 first. That was the condition back in 2022 when this trade was made, and it was ultimately because the Matthew Tkachuk trade with Florida happened shortly beforehand, so Calgary was in a spot where they had this Florida first, and they were like, okay, well, that first is in 2025. Let's ship out our 2025 first to Montreal, and depending on the circumstances, it'll either be that Florida first from the Tkachuk trade or it'll be our own. It was kind of confusing, but ultimately, Montreal received Calgary's first in that season. Which is why, if you head back over to the 2025 NHL Entry Draft, you will see that the New York Islanders inevitably used this first-round pick from Calgary to draft Victor Eklund. The original owner was Calgary because they sent the pick over to Montreal for Sean Monahan, and then the Canadiens sent this pick over to New York with the 17th overall pick, which was their own first, for Noah Dobson. Montreal, essentially, if you think about this trade transaction over here, they got themselves, what is this, 25 plus 50, 75 minus 1. They got 74 games out of Sean Monahan, which were very good. He was a productive player. He was meaningful in the lineup. He actually did produce. And they ended up trading Monahan away to Winnipeg for another first-round pick, so there you go. They essentially got 2 firsts for free, and then shipped away one of these firsts with their own first to New York for Noah Dobson. Montreal, if you just do the adding and subtracting of assets coming in and assets going out, Monahan and a first, Monahan was then swapped over to Winnipeg for another first, Montreal sends 2 firsts plus Heineman over to New York for Noah Dobson. The Habs essentially got Noah Dobson for just Emil Heineman, if you think about it like that. Monahan netted the team 2 free firsts, and then they sent away 2 firsts for Dobson with the Heineman package. That is absolute robbery. It is pure lunacy over here that Montreal was able to get away with this. If you had told me 3 years ago, when this trade went down between Sean Monahan, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Calgary Flames, if you had said to me back on August 18th, 2022, hey, just you wait. Not only is Sean Monahan going to be good for Montreal, but he's also going to end up giving you the necessary assets to trade for Noah Dobson at an extremely reduced cost. Say what you want about the Islanders and their retool and their rebuild and whether or not Dobson was a good fit long term, he is a valuable player, and the Montreal Canadiens ended up getting him for what was essentially Heineman, if you think about it like that. Let's scroll back down over onto Puck Empire's Instagram page over here. Kent Hughes took on Sean Monahan and was paid a first-round pick to do so, and then flipped him for a first and a third. Those 2 firsts, one was used as a major asset alongside Montreal's own first to acquire Noah Dobson, the other was used to trade up slightly and take Michael Hage. Kent Hughes essentially turned his own first-round pick and Emil Heineman for Dobson and Hage. Bruh. The rest of this write-up goes over Kent Hughes's track record, how he has been good at drafting, etc., etc. Free agency hasn't really been the best, but still, contract extensions have been very good, locking up Caulfield under $8 million a season, Montembeault, Goulet, Struble, lots of benefits with the drafting for Montreal too. Puck Empire goes out there and concludes at the bottom of this write-up here, Hughes has completely reshaped the franchise in Montreal. I'm really excited to see what the future holds. Hockey is better when Montreal is good, and oh baby, they're going to be real good for a long time. I think this trade might just be the best move that we had seen in this entire period of good GMing for Montreal. What do you think? What are your opinions about this trade 3 years after it had gone down, and what are your thoughts on the assets that came because of it? Dobson and Hage for Heineman, and I guess you could say nothing, or Heineman and their own first-round pick. It's a lot of value there that Kent Hughes has gathered, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.